Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks. And as always, the Israel Brief is brought to you in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines. We do it every Monday to Thursday. And we do it with our incredible community from Trinidad and Tobago to Northern Ireland to the Highlands of Scotland to Kenya, to South Africa, the United States, Canada, Australia, the US, everywhere. We have an incredible community. I do want to take this opportunity to wish all of our Christian viewers, our brothers and sisters, a very blessed and meaningful Easter. Tomorrow is Good Friday, a very holy and very special day in the Christian calendar. And I want to take this moment to wish you all blessings over this very special time in the Christian religion. For those of us who are Jewish observing Pesach, we are coming to the end of a week where we commemorate the Festival of Freedom. And while we're talking about freedom, we are always aware that for 559 days, 59 people have not had their freedom. We still have 59 hostages in the hell of Gaza, 24 believed to still be alive and 35 not alive. And we want to bring the living to start the healing process and the dead to be laid to rest with dignity. I also want to remind people that our hostages are not just Israeli and not just Jewish. We have Christians, we have Buddhists, we have Hindus, and of course we have Muslims as well. So I ask all of you, as we move to the end of Pesach and as so many of you observe Easter, please pray with all your heart for the swift return of all of our hostages. So let's take a look at those top stories making headlines. We're going to do that before we get into your question of the day and announce the Mench and the moron. Well, actually, there's plurals for both. So we start with a question. Is Hamas running out of money? Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing Arab intelligence, the terror group is running out of funds. They are unable to pay their officials and their rank and file. Now, they attribute a few things. They say that, first of all, the cessation of humanitarian aid going into the Strip means that Hamas is unable to take that aid, sell it, or pilfer it, and turn it into cash to fund their terror activities. The other issue is the increased military operation or renewed military operation by Israel, which has taken out a lot of their senior operatives, including many who are responsible for ensuring that Hamas members are paid, and others have gone into hiding. Now, they say that Hamas is unable to pay the full salaries of senior officials, and for their rank and file, their salaries, which is a couple of $100, has been significantly reduced as well. So this is an excellent development, and it's also possibly the reason why we are seeing our next story. The protests that have sporadically broken out across the Gaza Strip have started up again, most notably in the north of the Strip in Beit Lahia. Now, yesterday, the Palestinian media reported seeing thousands of Palestinians taking to the streets, including children with signs that say, "Stop the aggression," we want peace, not war, and Hamas get out. Now, what is very interesting, I found, is that in the footage you can see quite a few Egyptian flags being thrown. Being flown, not being thrown, long week, too much matzah, being flown. And the reason for that is because Egypt's role that it plays in a ceasefire, and a lot of the Palestinians are saying no more war. Of course, for Israelis, we are happy to see these protests, but we also want to see a denazification of the education and the incitement that has perpetuated these decades of incitement and calls to kill Israelis and Jews. So we are watching these developments closely, and we cannot take away from the courage that it takes for these Palestinians to take to the street, especially as remaining Hamas operatives are either detaining them or harming them. We know of the stories of protesters and protest leaders who have been tortured and executed by Hamas. We now go to the United Kingdoms, and NGOs have tried to push for a warrant of arrest for Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar. Sa'ar was in London this week. It's unclear if he is still there to meet with his UK counterpart, Foreign Secretary David Lammy. Well, the Global Legal Action Network and the Hind Rajab Network, who have links to Hezbollah, by the way, have called for the Attorney General and the Chief Prosecutor to arrest Sa'ar for war crimes. They've also filed with the Metropolitan Police as well. Now, the Hind Rajab organization is targeting any Israelis who have served in the IDF for arrest for war crimes as well. So this is an ongoing issue at the moment. And while we're on the subject of these kinds of allegations, the ICJ, the International Criminal Court, announced yesterday that they will be delaying the presentation of evidence for another 6 months. This works in Israel's favor. And one of the reasons that they have cited is that the South African team have refused the Israeli team access to what they are presenting, and that is illegal. No great surprises there. And finally, a story that means a lot. We are fast approaching Yom HaShoah, that's Holocaust Memorial and Martyrs Day here in Israel. That will be on the 23rd of April. And the town of Oswiecim in Poland, which is where the Auschwitz death camp is situated, the Auschwitz Jewish Center there, for the first time since the Holocaust, will be serving kosher meals for a very, very small fee. And there will be prayer services reintroduced. This is an incredible development, especially in light of the horrific history of the town. Auschwitz remains the most notorious of all the death camps, where over 1 million people were murdered. The vast majority of them Jews, tortured, starved, worked, gassed, shot, hanged to death, and their bodies burned. So this is ahead of Yom HaShoah observances, and it's just a remarkable step in telling the world that we are still here, that we've come through the darkest period in our history, and we are still here. So those are our top stories as we go into the weekend. Let's take the audience question. It comes from Janet in Toronto, who says, is Israeli tourism starting to recover? Janet, fabulous question. Very slowly, Israeli tourism is starting to recover. We've had a lot of tour operators who haven't been able to work since the 7th of October, and slowly tours are coming again. Flights are renewed to Israel again. It is now Chol HaMoed, which is the 7 days of Pesach, and we have seen many Israelis flocking to the north to try and, just boost the tourism industry there. A lot of these small companies, the small businesses up there are very dependent on tourists. So we are slowly starting to see a recovery. And, you know, despite everything that's going on, Israel is perfectly safe. So if you're planning a holiday, please think of Israel. We would love to have you here. And it's a great opportunity to see the facts on the ground for yourself. And finally, let's get to the Mench and the morons of the week. So let's start with our morons, and we have 3 nominations. The first is French President Emmanuel Macron for saying that he will be recognizing a Palestinian state. We know that the French president had a very heated discussion with Prime Minister Netanyahu, who said that, first of all, there hasn't been one condemnation coming from the Palestinian leadership for the 7th of October, but also recognizing a Palestinian state is rewarding terrorism. The second moron of the week is South African journalist for News 24, Oscar van Heerden, for his repugnant anti-Semitic and anti-Israel opinion editorials. And if you are living in South Africa and you do read News 24, please complain to the editor. It's absolutely despicable what he writes. And the final is my choice of moron of the week, Dave Smith, the comedian, who has, first of all, last week debated the brilliant Douglas Murray and couldn't quite compete with the facts. And this week was on Piers Morgan arguing with the world's eminent expert on urban warfare and the laws of armed conflict, Major John Spencer, who has been in Israel, who has been into the Strip, who has seen for himself. Dave Smith has taken it upon him to argue with them in the most arrogant and just unedifying way. And Dave, you're a moron. Stick to comedy or come here and see the reality for yourself. You haven't been here, have you? That was made abundantly clear when Douglas exposed it. And now for our Menches of the week. Another drum roll. Our first Mensch of the week is the brilliant Douglas Murray. Douglas, the state of Israel, the Jewish people owe you a debt of gratitude for your incredible courage, for going out there and in the most articulate and erudite way, making the case for Israel. Not only that, we wish you every success with your brand new book on democracies and death cults. May it be a #1 seller. I see it's gone straight in at #2 in the New York Times, and we want to see it get to #1. And our other mentions of the week, it's the story that melted all of our hearts, and that is the story of Billy, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and her rescuer, the brilliant Aviad Shapira, reservist with the Golani, who rescued her from Gaza and returned her safe and sound to the Danzig family, who have experienced so much loss since the 7th of October. You are our Menches of the week. And to all of you, you are my Menches of the week. I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom. And please don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottle's site, our YouTube channel right here at the Israel Brief. I would so love it if you guys hit that red subscribe button. Let's get this channel growing, this community growing. We're on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, and X at Lay of the Land 5. I always almost leave one of them out. So guys, God bless you. Chag Sameach. Happy and blessed Easter, and I'll see you again on Monday. Bye for now.